controversy continues to swirl around the early release from prison of Frankie Resto, the man now charged with killing the owner of a Meriden convenience store during a robbery only 2 months after his release.
Now, the Malloy administration is defending this new law, which was passed only last year, as we just heard in our discussion with Senator Rohrabaugh, and it is retroactive to 2006. This is a law meant to encourage inmates to earn credits by entering programs designed to keep them from becoming repeat offenders after their release. Local politicians in Meriden are pledging to change the law, and one is demanding more information about how the Correction Department goes about making such decisions.
With thousands of violent criminals subject to the early release program, does the commissioner actually have adequate time and adequate information to make an informed decision, or is he just carte blanche letting them out of jail when they accumulate the credits without any kind of consideration for whether they're a threat to our society?
The law allows inmates sentenced for certain crimes to earn 5 days per month off their sentences. And Suzio wants to know what Resto did in the first place to earn his nearly 200 days of credit. Resto was serving time for 2 robberies when he was released. But Democrat City Councilor Dante Bartolomeo, who's now running against Suzio, wants to add robberies and more than 30 other crimes to the list of felonies that do not qualify for those credits.
That it's important that we keep our hardened criminals behind bars, and that we also at the same time recognize that nonviolent criminals who do have the opportunity for rehabilitation have that through this program.
Senator Suzio wants the Correction Department to exercise more caution in deciding to release inmates, no matter how many credits they've earned. But Mike Lawler, the governor's criminal justice advisor, tells me that is exactly what was done in Resto's case.
So in this particular case, the commissioner revoked a bunch of his good time credits, and even though he was approved to be released by the parole board in February, he wasn't actually released until April. So he ended up doing 91% of his original sentence, which is significantly more than he would have done as of a couple of years ago.
And Lawler went on to also make the point that Connecticut's new law is actually tougher, he says, because it gives fewer credits to inmates than do laws in other states. Texas, for example, with its reputation for being really tough on crime, actually gives inmates convicted of violent crimes twice as many credits as Connecticut does.
It's really an emotional issue, and I think that we heard from Senator Rohrabaugh that certainly it's going to be brought up again in the next legislative session.
Absolutely.
Something for them to talk about. All right. Well, in other news, Connecticut Light and Power has taken another punch. State regulators say CL&P did not do enough before or after last fall's major storms. Members of the Public Utility Regulatory Authority, or PURA, have finished their investigation and say the power company's preparation and response was deficient and inadequate. And for that, regulators say CL&P might have to pay. For Simsbury residents like Marty McMahon,
we were out for 12 days.
Hanging tree limbs are still lingering, along with the bad memories from last fall's storms.
We were, on a mattress in front of our fireplace trying to stay warm in 49-degree wet, household, so it was nuts.
Stories like his are part of what state regulators looked at in their almost 10-month-long review of Connecticut's public utilities: water, natural gas, communications, and electric. Starting after Tropical Storm Irene and expanded after the October snowstorm, PURA did a forensic investigation and reached a conclusion that CL&P was deficient and inadequate in preparing and responding. And for that, regulators say CL&P might have to pay.
PURA will consider their performance and their findings when reviewing any future rate increase from CL&P and in reviewing any requests for storm cost recovery. Attorney General George Jepsen is praising the conclusion. He has been calling for CL&P to be prohibited from recovering 30 to 50% of its storm costs, or up to $130 million. CL&P has said it won't seek to recover $40 million.
We believe that some of the costs were the fault of CL&P itself, and those costs absolutely should not be passed on.
Simsbury's first selectman, Mary Glassman, is also applauding the requirement that CL&P improve its prep and response.
This decision means that everyone can sleep a little easier knowing the next emergency will be better prepared.
As long as it's not sleeping in the cold and dark, it all sounds just fine to Marty McMahon.
I'm all for that. I think really, the shareholders of CL&P are the owners of the company, and I think they have to take that hit, not us, the customers.
Lori Perry. Now, this was a draft decision. CL&P has less than 2 weeks to respond before it becomes final on August 1st. Company leaders say they're in the process of reviewing the report.
We'll see where it goes, and we want to remind you that if you missed something on The Real Story, you can always watch it at your convenience by going to our website, ctnow.com. You can also catch us on YouTube.
Thanks for watching this week's edition of The Real Story. We'll see you here again next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.